This is a product video on how to produce and apply the Rye Mark series, both wet and dry, from Metroma Graphics by Federgoni Self-Adhesives. The film is ideal for creating privacy and design elements for the home, office, and retail. This film is rated for years of outdoor and indoor use. We begin with production, which can often involve using a plotter to cut the film into specific shapes. The load-in of the film is standard. It's always very important to check the blade to make sure it's sharp and at the right height. It should cut just deep enough to go through the frosted film cleanly, but not too deep that it cuts the liner. Make sure to perform a test to double check this on the film, then proceed with the entire job. Next up is weeding. Pull the excess film away from the piece at a 45-degree angle, then weed out the enclosed areas with tweezers, a dedicated weeding tool, or a knife. Next up is application tape. Place the piece aside, then roll the application tape out, adhesive side facing up. Then roll the piece that was just weeded with the graphic side facing out. Then roll it onto the adhesive side. Squeegee it onto the application tape. Then, once set, flip it over and squeegee it one more time to ensure a tight fit. Next up is trimming. It's highly recommended to trim the pieces with straight edges. This will significantly help with installation. A good tip is to line the straight edge up to the graphics, then use the width as a way to create symmetry for the panel. With the panels trimmed and accounted for, now it's time to get ready for install, and we'll begin with tools. For installation tools, you'll need a straight edge, highly absorbent microfiber towels, gloves and scrapers for the window, and for the install, multi-cartridge knife is highly recommended with a safe box, tape measure, safe cutting tools, squeegees with buffers, masking tape of different widths, plastic scrapers, and spray bottles. We begin with prep, and the first step is to spray the window down with soap and water, then come in with a window squeegee to remove the main dirt. Always work from top to bottom. Once the main window is clean, now come back with a scraper, in this case a copper sponge, and spray the window one more time and thoroughly wipe down the window. This removes tiny specks from the window. Then use a window squeegee to remove the excess specks and soap and water. Next up is to wipe the outside area around the window to remove any specks of dirt that might get underneath the film during the install. And the final step is to spray the window down with a degreaser, such as isopropyl alcohol. We first begin with tips for the dry installation method. Place the piece on the glass with masking tape at the top of the panel. Take a tape measure and measure the piece left and right. Once the piece is centered left to right, now it's time to make any adjustments to make sure that it's straight. Now, place masking tape directly in the middle. This is called a temporary hinge. It holds the panel perfectly in position. Always make sure the squeegee that you're using is nick-free on the hard side of the edge. If it's not, you can rub it on another squeegee to smooth it out. Now, cut the masking tape markers at the top carefully on the panel so you don't cut on the glass. Then remove the application tape, low and flat. Fold the tab on the top to hold it on the glass. Now cut the liner with a safe cutter. Once cut, run a finger on the edge to remove any specks. Pull the piece across from the temporary hinge. Squeegee the piece just onto the glass. Line up the marker. Then squeegee towards the edge from the top in overlapping firm squeegee strokes to adhere it to the glass. Once this side is locked on, double squeegee with the hard side. Cut the masking tape one more time. Remove the masking tape, flip the panel over, remove the liner halfway so you can hold both pieces at the same time, flip it over, line it up with the marker, and notice that the backing paper holds it just off the glass at a perfect angle. Then use firm overlapping squeegee strokes from top to bottom to place it onto the glass. Always make sure you squeegee at a 45-degree angle. Once the backing paper, release it and continue the squeegeeing process with firm overlapping squeegee strokes. Once everything has been applied, double squeegee one more time with the hard side of the squeegee, then remove the application tape at a low 45-degree angle. The lower the better, as this helps keep the frosted film onto the glass without lifting. Once the application tape has been fully removed, now, very important to go over the entire piece with the buffer side of the squeegee to make sure all the edges are firmly sealed. During this process you may see a bubble. If this is the case, then use an air release tool and make a tiny hole on one edge of the bubble, then gently push the air out from the opposite side. And here is a shot of the final result. Now we move on to the wet install method. The initial setup is exactly the same as the dry method. Make sure the piece is centered, left to right, and level. Then cut the masking tape markers both on the right and on the left. Then take the piece away from the glass and spray it down with the soapy solution. Make sure the glass is thoroughly wet top to bottom and left to right. Then place the piece back on the glass, but this time with the liner side facing out. Press it onto the glass and the soapy solution will hold the panel in place while the liner is released. As soon as the backing paper is released, spray the adhesive side with the soap and water solution immediately, and continue this process all the way down from top to bottom. It's critical to make sure that the adhesive side is fully wet, so spray it down one more time, then pick the piece off the glass, rotate it, so now the adhesive side is touching the glass, then align the masking tape markers top and bottom. This means the panel is in perfect position. Lock it in with a squeegee stroke, roughly 1/4 from the top, then firmly squeegee the water out towards the top, then from side to side. Use firm, overlapping squeegee strokes, and be sure to peak the squeegee so the moisture is forced out. Double squeegee with the hard side once it's applied, then allow it to dry for exactly 60 minutes. After 60 minutes, the adhesive now firmly bonds onto the glass, and pull the application tape exactly as before, low and flat and at a 45-degree angle. For larger panels like this, it's highly recommended to roll the application tape up during this process to make it easier, and always double check for bubbles during this process.